The Denver Post's Patrick Saunders on Tuesday answered Rockies questions from readers live from the MLB winter meetings. Here are the highlights. Hearing a lot of chatter about Carlos Santana, Marcell Ozuna, Jay Bruce, etc. However, in my opinion, the bullpen needs the most help. What do you think happens there, Patrick? From what I have been told, the Rockies still think they have a very good shot to land Greg Holland. Despite his second-half slump, the Rocks thinks he's got a lot left. I'm a little more skeptical. I would love to see a trade for the Rays' Alex Colomé, but he's a hot ticket right now. Is this the most vocal you've heard Rockies GM Jeff Briddick regarding potential trade signings, Patrick? Yes, this is the most vocal and forthcoming Briddick has been. He's still pretty cautious, but he's opening up more to us in the media. He seems more comfortable in that part of his role. What are the chances Carlos Gonzalez ends up inside the NL West with the Giants or D-backs or something and comes back to haunt us regularly, Patrick? I really doubt Cargo ends up in the NL West. Those teams saw how much he struggled in 2017. Despite a solid September, Cargo was bad most of the season. Could he return to the Rockies? I wouldn't rule it out, but I think that would only happen late, after he's explored other options. Remember, he turned down a 3-year extension last spring. What do you think it'd take to get Marcell Ozuna from the Marlins, Patrick? To land Ozuna, the Rockies would have to give up 2, maybe 3 top prospects, like a Ryan McMahon, Raimel Tapia, and perhaps even a young pitcher. It would be an expensive trade, and I know the Rockies love their homegrown guys. So I'm skeptical, not of the rumor, but of anything really happening. Have the Rockies made any progress on signing Nolan Arenado, Chuck Nasty, or DJ LeMahieu to an extension? Do you think that gets addressed this off-season, Patrick? I have frequently asked, and as far as I know, there have been no discussions about long-term deals. Agents have told me that would not happen until the spring. Lackman and DJ are entering their final seasons. Nolan becomes a free agent after 2019. FYI, have the Rockies thought about Mike Napoli at first, or is his price too steep, Patrick? I have not heard anything at all about Napoli. On MLB Network Radio this morning, Stan Kastenberg, president of the Dodgers, described LA's analytics department as 2,530 people, and I really have no idea what they do, but I know it's really important. How does this compare to the Rockies department in terms of both size and top-level involvement and understanding, Patrick? To be honest, I don't know how many analytics guys and gals the Rockies employ. I suppose I could find out. I do know that they have beefed up that department substantially over the last 5 years. What about a solid starter? I like our young arms, but veteran leadership with the starters would be nice. Patrick, from what GM Jeff Briddick has told me, acquiring a veteran starter is not a priority right now. I'm not saying a trade wouldn't happen, but the Rockies prefer homegrown starters. That much is clear to me. The changes that are coming to the ballpark and the area around it. Does Monfort finally see that it actually pays to get better players? Is he loosening the reins to Briddick? Patrick, I'm not sure I understand your question, but let me give it a shot. The Rockies' opening day payroll, including the 40-man roster, should be about $147 million. That would be the highest ever. So I don't think Dick Monfort is starting to loosen the purse strings a bit. As for the ballpark village and the party deck, etc., I have no problems with that at all. I think it's good. Entertainment business can only make the franchise stronger. However, if the Rockies don't make some major moves this offseason, I'll be disappointed. Has the Eric Hosmer to Colorado rumor completely died, or is there still a chance, Patrick? I am not seeing or hearing anything about Hosmer to Colorado. Truthfully, I think he's pricing himself out of a lot of markets, including Colorado. I've been told that the Rockies are much more likely to sign Carlos Santana. I was hoping the Rockies would bring Jonathan Lucroy back, but that looks unlikely now. Was Chris Iannetta just a low-cost move when they were reluctant to shell out money for Lucroy? Patrick, regarding Lucroy, this is what happened. The Rockies wanted him back, but it became clear that he wanted a big contract and was looking elsewhere. When that became apparent, the Rockies thought they better move on Iannetta, rather than be stuck with nothing if they took too long. I think his team-friendly contract frees up money for other positions. Do the Marlins have any pitchers available in their fire sale? Patrick, the Marlins are indeed having a fire sale, but it's mostly for position players. I don't see the Rockies making a trade with the fish for pitching. Do you think that the Rockies have it in them to make a big trade to get help, or just talk about it? Patrick, I do think the Rockies are willing to make a major trade. Briddick proved that by trading Tulo and also trading Corey Dickerson to the Rays for McGee and Marquez. However, trades don't just happen. They are actually difficult to pull off, and timing is everything. Chuck and DJ seem like real great friends. Any thought if Chuck would take a 10% discount if it meant a fair market deal for DJ Patrick regarding the friendship of DJ and Blackman? Yes, they are very tight. They used to room together, until DJ got married. But, having said that, I don't think they will negotiate that way, as much as we'd like to see it. Do you think a deal will get done for Nolan Arenado and Charlie Blackman this year to keep the nucleus around after many stellar years by those two? Patrick the Rocks are facing a quandary about keeping both Arenado and Blackman. If Arenado lands a $300 or more deal in 2 years, can the Rockies really afford to sign Charlie, too? It's a real predicament. I honestly don't know the answer to this. I will say that Nolan is a once-in-a-generation player and might be worth locking up for his career. But he's got to want that, too. Just saw the AP story from last night about Neshek returning to the Phillies. 1. Is that a done deal? And 2. $16.5 million for a 2-year deal seems pretty high. Were the Rocks interested in holding on to him or just a one-done for last year? Patrick the Neshek deal back to Philly is not official yet, but it's a done deal. The Rockies did have discussions about bringing him back, but it's pretty clear to me that he wanted to go back to Philly. That's pretty good money for a 37-year-old setup man. Not in a hot stove, but could be if he's traded. What's the off-the-record Rockies commentary on Jeff Hoffman when he's on? In my opinion, he's the best pitcher they have. His stuff is filthy. While John Gray overpowers the batter, Hoffman makes him look foolish. He'll pitch that way for a few innings and then he'll go into a funk and give up big numbers. Patrick regarding Jeff Hoffman, I agree that he's got excellent stuff, though I disagree that he has the best stuff on the staff. That might turn out to be Marquez, we'll see. I think Hoffman just has to realize that preparation and focus are his big keys. I think the Rockies got a little frustrated with him because he kind of thought he had it all figured out. I think that's changing. Do you believe Trevor Story will have a breakout season, or is Brendan Rodgers coming sooner rather than later? Patrick regarding Trevor Story, I think he was terrific on defense, and as Briddick noted the other day, he never let his slump at the plate leak into his play at shortstop. So that tells you something about Story. I don't think he's as good a hitter as he was as a rookie, but not as bad as he looked most of last year. I could see him being a solid .260 hitter with 2,530 homers, but he still needs to cut down on Ks, especially in key situations. I project Rodgers to make his debut in the second half of 2018, perhaps in August. You've said before that Nolan really just cares about winning. If the Rockies make some big moves, but still aren't quite there at the end of the season, does that help the Rockies in keeping him, or is it all about actual results for him? Patrick regarding Nolan's desire to play for a winner. I think he's smart enough to realize that going somewhere else doesn't guarantee he'll be a winner. If the Rockies make smart, impact moves, and at least make the playoffs, that would be enough to persuade him to want to stay in Colorado. How serious are the Rocks about bringing Mark Reynolds back? Patrick, I think the chances of Reynolds returning are pretty solid. He likes the team. It all depends on money and what role he's offered. I'm going to ask Briddick about Reynolds later this afternoon, so we'll see what he says. If Brendan Rodgers is the Rockies' best prospect, what do the Rockies do with Trevor Story when Rodgers is ready? I was impressed with Story's defense last season and power despite the low batting average. Patrick regarding the problem of having both Rodgers and Story, I honestly don't know what the future holds. I'm not sure the Rockies even know how this will play out. Injuries, trades, etc. all come into play. Let's see how Story performs this year and how much Rodgers progresses before we make a judgment. I heard a rumor that the Rocks were exploring the possibility of adding our old friend Dexter Fowler. Any truth to that, Patrick? I have heard nothing about Dexter Fowler. I would much rather have Charlie Blackman in center than Dexter. In 2011, everything that you are saying about Nolan today was said about Tulo then. In your opinion, how is Nolan a different player that a long-term, big-money deal won't become a contractual albatross like Tulo's became and cost $50 million to buy our way out of? Patrick, the obvious difference between Tulo and Arenado is health. Tulo has been injury-prone throughout his career. Arenado has been an Iron Man, though he did have the broken finger. My personal opinion, I think Nolan's a better clutch performer than Tulo. Getting help for the bullpen has got to be #1 priority. Anyone in the farm system that can make an immediate impact. Patrick, I agree that rebuilding the bullpen is job 1. Briddick thinks so, too. I wouldn't look the farm for help. I would look to an established closer and setup man, then transform one of the young starters into a reliever. If indeed the Rockies sign a first baseman as rumored, what becomes of Ryan McMahon? Trade bait? Patrick, not necessarily. He projects as a second baseman as well, so if DJ is gone, McMahon could become the answer at 2B. No rush to define his role this early. Trade bait, I wouldn't rule it out. Find the full chat transcript below. Mobile users, if you don't see the chat window, tap here.